said, I'm Mrs. Fday. I'm the technology resource teacher here. So my job basically is to help teachers and kids integrate technology into their lessons and that sort of thing. So today we're going to talk about technology in the middle school. Give you a little background. This is only my second full year here at Harper Park as being a TRT. I do have two children myself. One is a freshman in high school and one's a fifth grader. So I deal with a lot of this own stuff at home. So my question to you, is this your normal? Just sitting around television, everybody's watching the same show. You guys do this? Yeah, me either. But when I was growing up, this is what it looked like. I mean, you were lucky if you had a TV. Well, we probably had multiples, but you know, but everybody, you watch what your parents watch, and that was kind of it. This is probably more your normal. You know, you have one doing Pokemon Go, watching TV, playing a game, reading. So in today's world, we really do have, these kids have instant gratification. They can do things on their phones and their computers that we probably never thought possible as kids. So this is probably more what your normal looks like today. And part of it is just controlling this atmosphere. So today we're going to explore ways to help our kids navigate our digital world, understanding the tech tools available to your kids here at school, and learning how teens are using technology in their everyday lives. So the first thing I want to point out is, if you don't have it already, LCPS has an app, and the app is really cool. You can download it from the App Store, Google Play, whatever, and it does help you keep connected. It gives you notifications, things like that. You can decide which schools you want to follow, if you want to follow their Twitter feed, all that sort of things. So, like for my two, I follow Algonquin Elementary and Potomac Falls High School, and so I get their notifications on my phone, and it makes it a little bit easier for me to keep track of what's going on. So that's a really good thing if you don't already have it. Parent View. So, how many of you know Parent View? Okay, good. So, we do have access on our site. You can check your grades. There's links to resources. You can email your teachers straight from Parent View. Report cards just went out on Wednesday, so now on your Parent View app, Parent View, there's a report card node, and you can pull up your student's report card. Can't print it or anything, but you can see it, and unfortunately you cannot see it through the app. If you don't have if you've never logged into Parent View, we have a thing where you can get help on getting that set up. It is a really good resource to have to be able to check on your kids. When you go into Parent View, these are the kind of the things that you're going to see on the sides. If there's any messages, they'll be listed here. This tab, My Account, that's where you can update your information. So if your email changes, phone numbers change, things like that, it's really important to keep that tab updated, because teachers are doing a lot of communication through Parent View, okay, and through Phoenix. So they're sending emails to you all. They're trying to remind you guys of tests, upcoming assignments, things like that. And if that information isn't updated, then you may not be receiving those communications. So that's important. Something else your kids are using here at Harper Park is Google Classroom. So how many have had their kids say anything about Google Classroom? All right, good. Check with them. A lot of 6th grade teachers use it. Majority. Google Classroom is great. This is just an example, but there's a stream, and so teachers can assign work here. Kids can go home, they can pull this up at home, they can open the assignments, they can do the assignments right in Google Classroom, and they can turn them in. So it's been a really great tool for a lot of our teachers. Teachers can grade in Google Classroom and return work. So it is really digital. A lot of our 6th grade, and some 7th and some 8th grade are using Google Classroom. We're not using a parent feature right now where you can log in, but have your kids log in and have them show you. Okay? They all have access. So what do we have here? All of our rooms have Promethean boards, not like this one, but similar. We have 2 computer labs that house 29, 30 computers each. We have laptops. I want to say 8 carts of laptops. Chromebooks. I think we have about 60 Chromebooks at this point. We're always looking for more if anybody would like to donate. And then we have 23 iPads. The Chromebooks, I have a cart of Chromebooks, and then we also house some here in the library, which are for student checkout. So as we are a BYOT school, or bring your own technology, if you want to take your child's technology away, and they say, oh, but I need it for school, you can't do that. That's not true. We have Chromebooks they can check out if they need a device. So don't ever think that we're not going to provide for them and that they need it. Use it as leverage, because their phones are their best friends. Okay, so as far as bring your own technology, what devices are best? Devices with a keyboard work best. Okay. Now, I, for one, being a parent, do not want to send a laptop with either of my children to school ever. It will break, it will, those are expensive. However, Chromebooks, not too bad, they're pretty affordable, but those devices with a keyboard are best, because it's really hard to write a paper on a phone, okay, or things like that. Okay, students in their digital world. So one of our jobs as parents and teachers is to help our kids navigate their digital world, okay? There's a lot of stuff out there, okay? And so as parents and teachers, we need to be mindful of what they're doing. Okay, so this is kind of where we are. I'm just going to... Oh, that didn't help. Sorry about that. My board was ready to go. Okay, well, then we won't watch that one. Sorry about that. I thought it was all good. Not sure why my video didn't work. It worked fine when I did it the other day. Okay, so American teens use an average of 9 hours of media daily. Okay, not including for school or homework. Okay, think about how much time they sleep, how much time they're awake. 9 hours is a lot of time. Okay, but that's an average. Okay, their media consumption for tweens 8 to 12 is about 6 hours a day. And for teens, 13 is about 9 hours a day. Okay? So, and think about it, they're in school 8 hours a day. 7, roughly. Okay? So, they're spending a lot of time online. So, 5 steps to a healthy media diet. Choose the good stuff. Watch, listen, and play together. Keep a balance. Walk the walk, and watch the clock. I tell you, I am not good at number 5. I am not good as a parent having my kids not be on their devices more than they should be. Common Sense Media is a great website to use to look at what movies are good for kids. It has a lot of parental information, parent concerns, family guides, just books, movies. My older son, who's 14, last year said, Mom, for your birthday, I want to take you to see Deadpool. I'm like, oh, okay. Not really even knowing what Deadpool was about. And so then, I'm looking around, I'm looking at the trailer for Deadpool, and I look at him and I go, are you nuts? I'm like, you are not seeing this movie till you're like 40. He still hasn't seen it, by the way. But, he was like, it's a Marvel movie, Mom, come on. So, this is a great site to go to check on those age limits and things like that and why things are rated the way they are. Know what your kids are watching, what they're playing, and what they're listening to. Be aware. Be with them. Do not let them take their devices and hide somewhere. Keep a balance. I'm not even going to try the videos. Sorry. I just am I'm going to post this online on the website, so if you want to go back and look at them. Keep a balance between homework, reading, watching TV, getting outside and exercising. Those are all things that kids need to do. Walk the walk. Model for your children. If you say no screens at dinner, then make sure you don't have yours either. If you say, they're not allowed to have them in their bedrooms, then have a family charging place so that everybody's is charged together and know that you're with them in this. That you're following these rules as well. Okay? Watching the clock. They probably shouldn't be on their device doing other stuff other than, for more than roughly 2 hours a day, which seems really small considering what they do. And again, as I said, I'm not good at it either. Something that we need to work on. Number one rule, there are no screens in the bedroom, period, ever. This is one rule that at home I do follow. My kids are not allowed to take their devices into their rooms for any reason. There's a lot of research done on how it compromises sleep. The blue glow decreases the melatonin, so they don't get enough sleep. They're also, I don't know about your children, but my older son's device goes off 50 million times a night. That ding, 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 ding. And he is compelled to check it. Like he can't just leave it. So he's always, even when he's doing his homework, it's supposed to be, it's face down on the counter. He hears it, it's like, so his, things are compromised. So keeping it out of the bedroom is really paramount to good sleep. Less than 16% of teens have created it, appeared in, or received a sext. You guys know what the sext is, right? Big talk to have with your kids about that. That means child pornography charges, registered sex offenders, vicious bullying. Those are consequences of the sexting. A talk you need to have with your teens. There is no privacy online. What they think they delete, it's never really gone. Okay? Children differ in their consumption of this. My 10-year-old is a big gamer, so what he does, 95% of what he does on his iPod is play games. My older one is more of the listening to music, not so much social media, thank goodness I don't have that issue, but so they're different, and so I have to make sure I'm looking at them differently and knowing what they're doing. Internet gaming disorder rewards community, responsibility, comradeship, and escape, much like gangs. They're going to get these things out of going into these chat rooms, going into these online gaming profiles. Now, I do not allow my 10-year-old to do any online gaming. It's all games he can download and he plays by himself against the computer. But I know a ton of kids, even friends of his that are 10, that do these online games. And they can connect with other people and understand learn the limit of these games and who are they gaming with. Making sure that it's their friend. Those things. Top 3 popular apps. Twitter, the minimum age is 13. Instagram, 13, and Snapchat are 13. Know the terms of use for these apps. Okay? I know Potomac Falls, they do all their announcements via Twitter. My son doesn't have a Twitter account. So, I'm feeling, do I need to get him one? Because this is how Potomac Falls communicates. So how do you do this? How do you manage that? He does have Instagram. He does not have Snapchat, so I'm lucky in regard that he doesn't even want those. Have the talk. Set privacy settings. Make sure their location services are turned off. Pictures that are tagged with location services means people can find them. Tell kids to think before they post. Make sure they're posting things that are not bullying. Be a friend and a follower. Be your kid's BFF on every social media site they're on. Be friends with their friends if you need to be. Okay? I am my friend's best friend on Instagram. Okay? Anything that he is on, I am on. I am friends with his girlfriend. I am friends with his girlfriend's parents. I am friends with his friends because I want to see what he's doing. Keep private information private. Talk to your kids about not sharing their address, not sharing their phone numbers online. Okay, those sorts of things. And make sure they're respectful. Okay? Have kids use your App Store account. It drives my children nuts, but we all share one iTunes. If they want to download any app, they have to ask me for the password, or they have to ask me to do it, because I don't give them my password. My 14-year-old's like, can I have my own? I'm like, no, just no. So I can download it, and then it's in the cloud, and then he can go download it. But then I know every app that is on their phone. Require kids to ask before downloading. Talk to your kids, ask them what the apps are popular with their friends. What are they going to use it for? Twitter basics. So how many have Twitter? See, and I'm a new Twitter user. So some of those Twitter basics: retweet. Okay, so you're taking somebody else's tweet and you're throwing it out there. Favorite, group private chats, direct messages. They may seem private, nothing's ever private. And just remember, once it's out there, it's not in your control. So, Instagram. How many are familiar with Instagram? Okay, so these are photos shared in Instagram are public. They may have location information, which is why you need to check those privacy settings. Instagram Direct allows users to send private photos directly to other users. Okay, so they can post them, and then who follows them can see them. So make sure you know who's following your kids and who they're following. So check that. Who are they following? Because maybe they're following some YouTube sensation. That's not their friend. They're going to think it's their friend, but it's not their friend. I know with my oldest, he thinks he was being sneaky because he knows I read his texts. So he decided that between he and his girlfriend, they would chat through Instagram because there's a little chat button, and he thinks I can't see that. Make sure that you have access to their phone. If there's a passcode on it, make sure you know it. If it's a newer phone and you can put your fingerprint in, put your fingerprint in. That phone is yours.
Yes, it is.
It is not theirs. Concerns, inappropriate photos. Okay, talk to your kids about what they're taking picture of and what they're posting. Bullying responses to posts. A lot of bullying happens online because you're behind the screen. You can feel like you can say anything you want. Teach kids how to handle inappropriate content. Okay, if their friends send them something that's not appropriate, tell them to delete it. Have them tell you, the parent, and never to share it, because that's where they're going to get in trouble. Okay. Snapchat basics. 1 to 10 second image. Stories, it's a series of snaps, and it's live for 24 hours. And then they supposedly go away. So people are notified when they get a screenshot. You can see it on other phones. Now, once that snap goes out and it's sent to somebody, they can take a screenshot of that, and then they have it, and then they can send it on. So although it's the illusion and appeal of disappearing, but nothing's temporary. It's out there somewhere, and somebody can find it. So these are some other apps that your kids might be into. Yik Yak is like another texting type app. Whisper, and I had some information about them because these are apps I don't know a whole lot about. Vine is being shut down. It is, if it hasn't already, it was owned by Twitter. And it was an app much like Instagram that did, but their videos were only like 6 seconds, where Instagram's 15 seconds. So Vine kind of lost its appeal once Instagram came out. Yik Yak is, you can vote up and vote down, but it's a texting kind of thing. Whisper is a mobile app that allows users to send messages anonymously and receive replies. Users post messages known as whispers, which are displayed as text superimposed over an image, automatically retrieved from Whisper's own search engine or uploaded by the user. Kik is another messenger app. And you can see these are the ages, so they have to be 17, Whisper 17, Kik 13 to 18. Ask FM is a global social networking site where users create profiles and can send each other questions. And then again, Vina says being shut down, but it's a video sharing service. Okay, so know if your kids are using these. High school, after school. Okay, this is a new, highly popular app, and students have to verify with a Facebook account. But you can see those are schools in Loudoun County, and they go through and they pick their school, and then they can send messages through to other people. So some frequently asked questions about it, and this is not one that I even know about. What happens when I post? So when you post, your message is created and available for everyone at the school to see. However, no one will be able to tell who posted it unless you put identifying information. So can you see where this can go very, very wrong? There's no posts are anonymous, so it gives the people the right to express themselves. They use their friends' education and location information to verify that you actually go to the school that you claim to. So I'm not going to read everything to you, but this is, this can be dangerous. Remember, your kid's phone really belongs to you, and there should be no expectation of privacy online, in the house, anywhere. I think that making sure that you have access to it. My kids have to charge their phones in a certain spot, and I know their codes, and when they go to bed, you're right, I read everything. And my younger one could care less, but my older one, he hates it, and I don't care. But because I'm his mother, and when it comes down right to it, I'm responsible for him and making sure that he's making good choices. Where we got the resources, the American Academy of Pediatrics, Sheriff's Department, Common Sense Media, and then our wonderful counselors here. So are there any questions? I looked at through that a lot quicker than I thought I would. Of course, I think because the videos weren't there, but are there questions? Yeah.
Can we talk about Snapchat a little more?
We can. Again, I am not very familiar with it because one, I don't have it, and neither does my kids. So
I think it's a big thing here. I feel like as soon as I learned Instagram, they moved on to Snapchat. And I don't understand Snapchat at all. Like if I am on his phone and I don't think it's a password or anything because I can usually see it, but then if I click on something, I don't understand what's happening.
Well, with Snapchat, you can take photos and then you can add things to the photos. So you can add little mouse ears, you can add, and they're supposed to be cute, and then you can send them. The illusion is after 24 hours, it's live for 24 hours, it goes away. It's done.
So if I'm going to check it, I need to be checking it every day?
Yes. Every day. Because it's only live for 24 hours. And then it goes away. Yes.
And to check it, you have to be friends with them to see what they're doing, but then you can also just take their phone.
Correct.
And check it.
But
if I just am friends with them or whatever you call it, then I should be able to see what they're doing?
Not unless they send it to you. So,
Got it.
right, they have to send.
That's a one-to-one thing. So if they
Correct.
didn't send it directly to me, then I won't see
Right.
it.
So you want to make sure, for example, a friend of mine's daughter, she had an Instagram account, all good, she's friends with her, and then she got her daughter's phone, and her daughter had 2 other Instagram accounts that she hadn't told her mom about. But she would know that just being friends with her with that one account. So take your kids' phones, look at their phones, look who they're friends with, look who they're following. Another app is Musical.ly. You guys know about that one? And that's kind of like this karaoke app, right? Where they can take videos singing the songs and then send them out. And I know another friend of mine, her daughter was friends with a YouTuber on there. She's like, but she's my friend. No, she's not. So make sure you know who they're being friends with. And if you're not sure, ask. You see somebody, who is this? Yeah.
I think an important thing to remember too is that you can always access your kids' data router as well. So you can log into your home network and actually see what your kids are pulling up every day.
Right.
From their phone, from their computer. And that's just something that you access from your home router, depending on how many routers you have.
Right.
And there's actually now devices that allow you to limit what the kids can look at, or even time limit, or restrict the kids from watching. But
Yeah,
you can-
every-
even on applications, there's
Right.
a special way of looking in your network. If they're in your home and they're using your
That's what I
network,
was gonna say, they're in
you
your
know,
home.
One of the big things
Not
with
for everybody, and if it's about a phone, whatever they do through the cellular network.
if you're in the home though, at least you can, it's
Even
one
in a-
more event.
If you're on the home Wi-Fi.
Yeah, if you're on the home.
Well, if you're on the home Wi-Fi as well, like you can cut that off. So like for my son's iPod, we cut him off and he can't do anything else because he doesn't have data. My older son, it doesn't work as well because if we cut his Wi-Fi off, he has data. However, pretty much every carrier, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, offers a parent piece to their package. It's probably usually around $5 a month that you can then put parental controls even on their data. And you can control the times they're on, and that sort of thing, when they access it. So you can shut it off during school hours, which doesn't really bode well sometimes for BYOT for us if they're using that. But you can cut it off, let's say at 10 o'clock at night, so they have no cellular and they have no Wi-Fi. So you can but it does cost. It's not free. There's also one called Phone Sheriff out there that does similar things where you can control what's happening on their cell phone. Yeah.
I was just gonna go back to Snapchat. I didn't realize this until I got Snapchat. I told my kids that they had to be on my Snapchat in order for me to let them have Snapchat. But they can send private Snapchats to their friends.
Right.
So you just have to be careful with that also, because they can send Snapchat to person A and I won't be able to see it because it's sent as a private Snapchat out to them. So it's hard.
It is. This is definitely a difficult subject. I mean, and it gets more difficult the older they get. So what I can control with my 10-year-old is not as easy to control with my 14-year-old. And the older he gets, the more difficult it becomes. Because he then feels he should have certain rights, and I feel he has no rights. But so it is going to get more difficult. But if you put the plan in place early, and that's just what they're used to, hopefully it becomes a little easier. But I think just knowing what they're doing is one big step. Just knowing that, you know what, I don't care what you think. This is my job. As a parent, it's my job. And my kids don't have their own computers. We have a laptop and we have a desktop.
Right.
And they use it where I am.
Yep. In the common area.
I don't agree with, the being in their room, shutting themselves off, and, so we just make that a habit, that they have to be, out in the open.
And knowing what they're doing is really important too, because obviously we're seeing like the cyber bullying, you talk
Right.
about how you can add cute things and then people can add some not cute things and send it, and it causes a lot of heartache. I mean, because it's everywhere, it's World Wide Web, and we try to tell them that, like you said, it doesn't ever really disappear. There's someone that works for Leesburg Police, their sole job is to retrieve information from anything. If they delete their Facebook account, anything, if there's a big issue, they can pull basically anything back. So I just try to stress it never goes away. And I feel for them. I told them at our first anti-bullying assembly is, their brains aren't mature enough to think before they react, and they have all this instant, response and technology, even as adults sometimes. I reread my email and change it. But it's hard for them. I mean, they're young, and they've grown up in a world that's totally different from what we grew up in, and it's just, I feel for them. And I have two, 14 and 11, and, just let them understand, that decisions there. And it's a process.
And sometimes these decisions that they're trying to make now as, 10, 11, 12, 13, and on up, they can have lasting consequences if they're not making the good choices now. And that's what they don't understand.
And that's unfortunate, because you're so young,
Right.
that you should be able to fall and get up, and when we did, it was never anywhere, you said something mean and went away, and just not saying it. And then people forget, but it's just out there, and it's just, when students get hurt, they get really hurt, because so many people are involved, and it doesn't go away. Ms. Cole, feel free to chime in, I don't know,
No, I just, the only thing I would say is I've been in Harper Park for like 14 years, and every year the social media aspect increases, and the type of issues we see seem to be related to social media. Back in 10 years ago, kids were still probably doing written notes to each other. Now it's all through text. It makes it very hard as counselors too to help navigate that with students and help them solve these issues because of the nature of how students are interacting with each other. A lot of this stuff goes on at home, not at school. The effects come into school, so we really try to deal with that the best we can, but a lot of it happens at home on their sites. And I will say that the parents, you guys sometimes come to us for the help, and we can only do so much with our positions in the school. So much of it really does require the work at home, and so we're emerging, we're developing, we're kind of working together to help each other the best we can, because we're learning just like all of you every year. It's new things. The kids seem to be ahead of us, and we're always then relearning and figuring out what's going on, and a lot of times we do that through the kids because something's happened. So we're here to work with you to do whatever we can within our confines of the school, but we do have to work together because sometimes there are things that we actually cannot do to help. So that's just the piece I'll add.
Yes.
The expression, once it's out there, it's always out there, is a lot more nuanced than people realize. What I try and do is reframe it to the kids. My doctorate's in electronic privacy, I do technology strategy for a living. What I tell people is, if something is free, then you are the product. Literally, everything that they're typing in, they think is theirs, like everything in their room.
Right.
And they're thinking you're looking at what's theirs. What they don't realize is the companies are monetizing every bit of data about them. Once you explain that to a kid, they are the product, even if they're paying $1 a month for an application.
Right.
Literally, there's companies that are like sifting that and sorting that and categorizing them and judging them by that. Once they know that, they might be a little less inclined to care as much as they do.
Yeah. And then they use that information to market more to them.
Yes. And it's
The little ads you see on the sides are all
worse
geared
than that.
towards.
It's worse than that.
Yeah, I can add to that point because I looked at my work.
Mhm.
I do the audience measurement project where I do the measurement of what time, what group of age are watching what on the internet. So I do that, and then we fabricate it, and then we do a report for Time Warner, Verizon Wireless, AT&T. So that are very big markets, so they can advertise certain product to the age groups, to the gender, things like that. That's my job. My company, we call the audience measurement. So they pay a lot of money for that. I want to pay a lot of money for that. And that's the trend right now. So people watching TV at that certain time, who watching the channels of internet like YouTube's on certain time frame. So it's very important to know that when you got on the internet. So for me, my son doesn't have any data plan. He used my phone hotspot. So whenever I go out, he can connect to my hotspot. If he wants to do something with the phone at home, I control him by the router, like say.
Yeah.
I can put at what time he can get on the internet. My standard is this. At night, there's no internet. After 11 o'clock. So on the weekends, we cannot, before 9 o'clock a.m., there's no internet at all. So we don't go on the internet, we don't do anything, we can screen anything. So it's parents, so then I talk to him every night. So we have a parent talk time.
Yeah.
Instead of do, because right now he's sixth grade, so he can do it on his own. So instead of do this story time, I do talk time. So I talk every night. So asking about school work,
Mhm.
what kind of friends that he involved with, then try to be his best friend. So that's what I do.
I think that, this is just a wonderful topic to bring up with parents. From a healthcare standpoint, I think that it's the most important thing for parents to know, and I'm a parent, my kids go here as well, is that we actually don't know the effects of not just constant radiation, constant networking, we don't really know what the effects of that are on the human body.
Right.
We also don't know the effects of ambient light on the body and the change in the stress response. And as many people have said, that's what I do. I'm a neuroendocrine immunologist, nurse practitioner. And I think when you start looking at stress response, cortisol, cortisone, and the change in sleep patterns, that's probably the first thing that you're gonna see in your children. You know, in that response comes from constant exposure to ambient light and technology, in the sense that we don't really know what that means. The American Academy of Pediatrics has said no more than 2 hours, right? Well, we know, I know I use way more than 2 hours, but my brain isn't developing.
Right.
And human brains develop up until 18 years of age. So those brains are pliable, right? And we don't know exactly what the effects are of what we're doing until, unfortunately, probably about 10 years from now.
Yeah. And
So
for
just always keep that in the back of your mind. There's a reason why bodies like the American Academy of Pediatrics say what they say.
Right.
It's to protect the children, and I encourage my kids not to use their phones. If you're gonna watch TV, watch it on the TV. Don't
Right.
do it on your phone, and don't do it like this. Because that changes, and if you just even look, there's actually a recent research article out of the New England Journal of Medicine 2 months ago about the increasing rate of myopia in children, and that is nearsightedness in children. How now more children than ever are wearing eyeglasses. That is a direct response to screen time.
And I can attest, my 10-year-old now has glasses, and we think that was part of the reason.
Yeah, so just, that's something that if anything will change your mind. I know people don't understand marketing and security and all, I don't either, but the one thing I do understand is medicine in my kids' eyes. You know, and you want your kids to be healthy, just like you want them to eat a good diet, they need to have a good technology diet as well, a good technology lifestyle. So.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but what I've read is that, especially male brains, that frontal lobe doesn't really fully develop until around 21. That judgmental.
Correct, and that has to do with testosterone and cortisol.
So especially in boys, their decision-making function is affected up until around 21 years of age. Yes, ma'am.
Did you help us understand to what degree this is taught directly to our kids? Because I know I will speak to them at home.
Mhm.
Sometimes when it comes from a parent, it's like mean and policing and not factual and important. And so to get it from both sides would be great.
That's a good question.
I think they do some stuff at the beginning of the year. I know I worked with the 6th grade this year when they came in and we talked about their passwords and their logons and talked about screen time with them through civics. They all brought them in and we got them set up on Google Classroom and how to access and things like that. We don't go as in depth with them as far as the dangers behind too much screen time. Is that something we could look into for next year as far as
I think that's something,
presenting something?
like I said, we're all learning together, but when we get more information and then we determine, yes, this is really appropriate and we should then take that as part of our program.
And they're all getting the same messages instead of saying, well, they told us to use it at school, it's a great tool. And I'm like,
Right,
yeah, but
right. It's like the new etiquette. We need
It is
to
a
develop
great,
new etiquette.
there's great things about technology.
Yeah.
There's absolutely wonderful things about it and things that they can learn. But I think the parent that was talking is right. We just have to, as parents and teachers, keep in mind how much they're using and making sure they're using it appropriately. Yes.
It's important to remember that the this 2-hour update of the National Academy of Pediatricians was actually updated from 30 minutes to 2 hours, and they did it for only one reason, which was they realized that previous 30-minute recommendations were impractical in today's world. There was no science suggesting that 30 minutes good, 2 hour. In fact, there was science suggesting 30 minutes was still good. So there's no question that the science right now says that the kids get too much screen time. Even that 2-hour one was just, they even said, we're throwing up our hands, we know it's impractical to do less than that. It's kind of sad.
One of the things that I also would suggest, and I know as parents, we want to remain in constant communication with our children, which is probably why most of them have phones, so that we can get a hold of them and text them and things like that. Don't text them during the school day. Don't allow them to text you during the school day. Mom, I'm not feeling well, can you come get me? That happens a lot more than you think. And then you show up at school and say, oh, my kid's not feeling well. And they're like, oh, did they go to the nurse? Oh, no, they just texted me. And that happens quite a bit. So, just make that a rule. They shouldn't be texting during the school day. That's not something they should be using because it's not educational. And we really do push just the educational use of their devices, and teachers are supposed to be monitoring that. I'm not saying that other things don't happen, but that is one of the push through teachers is that they are for educational use during the school day.
I was just gonna ask you, as far as them using technology at school, is there a certain set time that they're allowed to bring out their technology, or?
It's a very good question. That is, usually it's a classroom management issue. So we have some teachers in the building that use technology on a daily basis. And they are, every day the kids can bring their device and they're using them for something. I have up on the board, this is one example of what kids use in the classroom, and it's called Kahoot. And it's a great fun way to review for quizzes, tests, things like that. It's a gaming type atmosphere where they answer questions and they get points and they that sort of thing. So that's one thing that they use it for. There are some teachers in the building that believe technology has no place in their classroom. So we have both extremes, and then some in the middle that use it every so often. So it kind of varies, but it is a teacher by teacher kind of discretion.
And if the kids are caught with their electronics being used during class time?
Mr. Woodard, do you want to take that question? That's more of an admin thing, not a parenting thing.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Byron Woodard, I'm the 6th grade dean. I couldn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, what are the consequences for kids using their technology in class when it's not supposed to be out?
Good question. I get a lot of phones, but it's a good way for me to build a relationship. So the first time is more about, we know the rules and let's follow the rules. A lot of in 6th grade, we have what we call parking devices. So we use shoe holders, and students can park their device in the shoe holder in the classroom until the teacher can say it's okay for them to use it. It kind of gives them security that they're not using it when they're supposed to, even though they're savvy enough to still kind of get away with it. But often teachers will take the phones, return it to me. First offense, I kind of talk to the student. Second offense, we can call home, let the parent know they're misusing the technology. And then if it continues, we can then take the device and have the parent would come in and the parent would have to come in and actually come pick up the device. Most kids don't want to get to that because then they know at home they may not be able to use the device. The device, they are so connected to it that they are willing to do whatever they need to do to make sure that it's not taken away. So usually my first conversation is usually the end of it. But some take risks and continue and we just follow the process.
I mean, talking about being connected, when they misplace it for like an hour, I mean, it's a total breakdown, like tears and you think something.
Yeah, that was my next one.
Like, it's like the worst thing that ever could happen is like, I'm like, what's wrong? Can't find my phone. I get you, I mean, yeah, so definitely connected.
The reason why I asked, I'll tell you, I have a son who's a senior in high school, and he is so connected to his device that we took it away, and he went into like depression. And so talking with the high school, he goes to Heritage High School, and the counselors got involved. And now what he's supposed to do is when he gets to school in the morning, he's supposed to check his phone in with the counselor, and he can pick it up at lunchtime and take a look at it and then drop it back I know she's connected to it a lot at home.
And as I said before, BYOT is optional. You do not have to send a device to school with your child. We will make it work some other way. So when they tell you, I need this, iPhone 6S Plus, iPhone 7, whatever, because I have to have it for school, don't let them tell you that. They don't.
And sometimes we need iPad for the school.
iPod works just fine. Anything that can, we have open Wi-Fi, so they can connect to the wireless network, so they don't need a data plan. Don't go with but all my friends have it. I hear that one a lot. It's just something that as parents we have to make the best decision for our kids and our family. You had a question?
I was wondering what the ratio is of lost or stolen phones or any devices that the kids are bringing to school.
Do you know the answer to that? The ratio of lost or stolen devices?
I've had one incident of a phone that was stolen, then miraculously left on the floor in the locker area. Most of the problem is students losing their phones. I can only speak for 6th grade, but we have a good 6th grade community where the phones are often returned to my office, and then we usually get the phone back to the kid. We have one phone that I've had probably for a month now. There's no one that's come to pick it up.
Wow.
If I could encourage you all, if you have iPhones, please
Write down the serial numbers.
Serial numbers and do the Find My iPhone app. That works. I work with a parent at school the other day. I Find My iPhone app, and we found the kid's iPhone. It's actually in his backpack. But it works. But yes, they leave their phones a lot, and that's why in 6th grade we have the parking. We try to have students to park it and try to train them so when they get to 7th grade. So we want them to use them, but we don't want them to be so connected to it, so we can increase that distance where they can go get it. Some of them leave it in the parking devices, but they often go back and it's still sitting there, or the teachers are turning it in to me between classes. So we do have a lot of phones that are lost or left behind, and they typically
Please make sure they
get back.
passcode their phones. Please make sure they do that. That really does prevent
Yes.
other kids from being able to get into their phones for the most part. It's not a perfect system, but passcoding their phone will definitely be a deterrent. Yes, sir.
Just real quick, because I'm just curious, because we don't let our children have phones until they're 13. So I was just curious what the perceived percentage of children in middle school that actually have a phone.
6th grade, I would think at least 80%, if I was to guess. But don't give in to the peer pressure. I have a 6th grader myself, and he does not have a phone.
Ours either.
And there are a few kids that don't have a phone because they do not need it.
Now, devices, they could have other devices. They could have an iPod, they could have a Kindle, they could have...
Yeah, right. I was talking about things where you can actually connect to the,
which all those things you can.
right.
And you can communicate too, they can
Right.
text, with the iPad.
So I would say you're probably right. It's probably close to 80% that have some sort of device,
Or even higher, yeah.
or even higher.
Started in 6th grade. 7th grade,
And by 8th grade, I'm the 8th grade counselor,
It's probably almost close to 100%.
I don't think I mean, there are a
Right
few
here,
kids.
2 people.
Okay.
8th graders do not.
Okay,
You
but
don't
there are
get
very
them
few.
until they're freshmen in high
Yeah.
school.
But you probably find that most of their.
Oh, and they all do.
Yeah,
They
there
all
are very
do.
few.
And my kid's okay with it. I mean,
Especially once they get it.
and I'll tell you, they're on travel soccer, and I hear the parents, oh, I did it so I could connect to them. I could always get them. They're always they're travel soccer, they're at church school. That's what my kids do. And I grew up doing that, and I survived. I told them, I said, yeah, I'm always gonna be there. And everybody else has a phone.
Right.
When there has been a thunderstorm, the coach, my daughter calls me on all these strange calls. Mom, practice ended, there's, something came up. The coach, had to leave, and they need to come get me. Fine, so, it's just a go, she's an 8th grader. I think her birthday's in February rather than wait till August or September. We may, nobody tell her that now. But,
That's what I tell my kids. Like, I'm like, I take you to practice, I pick you up from practice. I mean, my husband coaches my younger son. What do you need? You know, because my 10-year-old's like, Mom, I need a phone. For what? Who are you going to call? You know, and my older son.
Definitions of need are significantly different.
And you know, and my older son, when we eventually did it, I also waited till 13 for my older son before he got one, which was the summer after 8th grade because he's an August birthday. So, but mainly because my older one is out and about all summer long on his bike with his friends and this, that, and the other, and I wanted to be able to get in touch with him.
I just want to say, my daughter even said something for her birthday. I just took a handful of girls shopping for her birthday, and we went out to lunch. She goes, Mom, all of my friends that we went with didn't have a phone, and it was so nice they were not connected. She's got another group of friends that does, and she goes, I never talk to them because they're always on their phone or, oh, look at the Snapchat, look at this, and I mean, the whole time there were giggles. We went out to lunch, we went shopping. It was communication. It was back to being personable with each other and communication skills, and not, all right, yeah. And how many times are we even doing that in the kitchen? We're doing something when the kids trying to tell us about their day.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
stems from home.
And I think that I know I find with my own children, and again, I'm not great about limiting their time as well. I fall short in that as well, but their social skills are lacking. You know, my older son made mention, we were talking about his talking to a teacher, and he goes, oh, I've never talked to a teacher like that. I'm like, I've spent the last 3 years trying to get you ready for that. You know, and just being able to communicate face to face with someone without, you know, and even his friends, you know, they're all down like this, as you said, and they don't find it rude. Whereas if I were up here and checking my phone every few seconds giving this presentation, you all would find that incredibly rude. They don't view it that way because this is their normal. And that's where as parents we kind of have to take that back so that we can send them out to want to be able to communicate. Did anybody else have any? I wanted to just point out there was a flyer that went out, handout on a great example of a cell phone contract with a 13-year-old. There's several points. If you don't have contracts with your kids, it's never too late to do a contract with your kid. I have one with my 14-year-old, and you know, he's not allowed to use his device while he does his homework, much to his dismay. He would love to. But like you, I found that once we stopped allowing him to use his device doing homework, his grades started improving. He was doing better on quizzes and tests, things like that. We have computers. He doesn't need to use that teeny tiny little screen to look things up. But I mean, if you need one, you guys can take my copy. But I would just peruse this. I wouldn't say you have to use all of them, whatever applies to your family. But there are just some really good bullet points in there, like just answering the phone when you call. That's not optional. If you text them that they have to answer back, it's just not optional. Don't use technology to lie. Do not text, email, post, or say anything to this device you would not say in person. You know, I tell my kids, would you say that to my face? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't say it to anybody else either. You know, don't take or receive pictures of anyone's private parts. That's a big, you know, concern with kids. That can get them in a lot of trouble. And you know, I have very frank conversations with I have two boys about that. I think it's important that they are able, as you said, to leave their phones sometimes. That it's okay not to take it with you. Get into the habit, if you're driving, model the behavior of putting it in the glove compartment or putting it away and not seeing them, have them see you even texting at a red light or checking it at a red light. Because pretty soon these 12, 13, 14-year-olds are gonna be 16 and 17-year-olds, and they're gonna be behind the wheel of a car eventually. And that's a scary thought. And we're having devices with them in these cars. And the distracted driving rate has gone through the roof since cell phones have been, so just, again, model these behaviors for your kids. Let them know that you can put yours down and you can walk away. If I know email is not cool anymore for kids this age, but if they do have an email, encourage them to check it. My son has an email and he'll have 15 new emails and he'll be like, what? But have these times when there's no devices allowed, no matter what it is, and be with them in that. At our dinner, there's no devices at dinner. My husband is not as great about it sometimes, and I'm like, put it away. And have talk time. I love that. Have talk time with your kids. Know who their friends are, know who their friends' parents are, because that is what's going to matter. Any other questions, comments, concerns? It's 10, so I don't want to keep any, but
I would just not add, but I think for this information for us is great, and I heard it from a few other parents. It's like, so we're the police and we put the hammer down and we're like, all right, so this is the new rule. But I think the more they can hear it, even in their homeroom, some of these things, like the ambient light, I've been counting that to my daughter.
Right.
And it's like, it doesn't, but I don't listen to it, I don't watch it. It's like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But they don't get that. So the more that they can hear it from people that aren't their parents, that are always talking to them, to counselors or teachers, even if it's in a homeroom class, I think the better it is, it would help my job as a person. And just to make it, and have a contract within the classroom. I know all teachers don't buy into it, but just, some basic stuff in terms of, you're right, texting while you're talking to somebody else isn't the best, way to go about it interpersonally.
Well, etiquette. I think,
Yes.
and that's where I think we lose that battle sometimes.
Sure,
It's
but
just
we
the
know
etiquette.
this, and you're teaching that to us, so teach it to the kids, or to the other teachers, so they can teach it.
And I have done lessons in the past on their digital footprint and talking to kids about what they leave online. But this is definitely something that we can see if we can fit in, and I'd be happy to, to do this for the kids as well.
Right, and counselors do that too. We always talk about every year in our anti-bully presentations, we always address the internet and safety and so on and so forth. But we appreciate your comments too, because we're gonna continue to build the programs of what we can provide here at school, so we can work together, give as much information to the kids and help them develop that tech etiquette.
And if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to email me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. And if I can't get the answer, I'll find somebody that can.
If I can add one more point, we want to encourage our sixth graders to train them early to use their cell phones, not just for social devices, and of course they use them in the classroom because teachers tell them to, but we also want to encourage them to use them as tools to manage their lives. Use their calendars, set their appointments, put deadlines for assignments. So think about how you can help them to use that technology to just help manage, as we all do. I can't live without my phone because all my appointments on my calendar, and if I lose that, I'm lost. So if you encourage your children to kind of use it that way, because they often see it as just something to use for social media. And it's much more powerful than that. It can actually help them manage, things that they have to take care of, make them more responsible, make them more of a self-advocate. But that's something that's in the sixth grade that we want to encourage. So when they become 7th, 8th grade in high school, they don't have to have the parents that remind them that they have a quiz. They can check student view, they can check their phone. It should be right there. So just want to add that.
Good point. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you all for coming. Hopefully we'll see you next Monday. Happy Thanksgiving.
I'll see you.